Just wanted to share that I now have a Patreon. If you like my content and want to keep supporting what I do, you can join up for as little as $5 and get a couple of really cool perks, including exclusive video content that I will be producing just for Patreon. And then, even if you're not a Patreon, you can actually buy the digital files for the playmats I design on the site and get them printed. Link for the Patreon is in the description, but let's hop into the video.
Hello everybody, my name is Connor and we are here with Marco versus King. This is my mulligan hand. It is rough, but it is okay. Our buddy here, Jarrell, has just as rough as a hand, so we'll get into that. He swings 5 and I decide to take and I get another 5 cost Marco. He taps his stage, ramping that Dawn and passing turn. So we are at 4 Dawn, and boy oh boy, our hand is looking pretty tough here. I go ahead and leader ability, probably should have leader ability last turn as well, just to get some of the bigger cards out of my hand, but didn't think about that. I end up putting Marco at the bottom here. Don't know if I agree with that play. I think I'm like, oh, I've got Sanjis, I've got, I've got the Sanjis, I've got the Rayleigh and the Newgate, like, okay, like, I want to keep that, and I don't know if that's the play. So I swing big, and he ends up taking, and we go ahead and pass turn. Not much to do with the at lower Dawn with this deck, I feel. I did mention in the video yesterday I am working on tweaking the list. This list isn't gonna be optimal until we get the starter deck. And as you can see, Jarrell does the same thing. King swings massive, and I go ahead and take. He ramps, and we pass turn. So now we have some thing to do. We have we top deck Jozu, and we got Jozu out of life, and we top deck a Dofi. That's his name. And I am trying to figure out exactly what I want to do. I know he's got a lot of cards in his hand at this point, because similarly to me, he is taking life, he is not being able to do too much. So I do decide, I think this turn I decide to play Pudding before. I'm torn between the Pudding and the Dofi. And I put the 1 Dawn on leader for leader ability, and I get another Dofi, which isn't really something I want to see at this point in the game. I do feel like I played this game very poorly, but that's part of the reason I wanted to talk about it. So I do put Dofi on the bottom. I'm not sure if that was 100% the play. We think about putting 2 Dawn on, but we decided to tap 4, I believe, yeah, and we play out the Pudding and get the hand shuffle going, and I don't know if that was the play. I don't know if that's what I should have done, because his hand was clearly kind of rough, but I mean, in my defense, I feel like this deck, I feel like King might benefit from just getting the late game, and you just have a lot of bigger bodies you can play late game, so I figured this way, less counter in hand the better. I go ahead and swing 7, and he takes, and we go ahead and pass turn. So our hand is looking kind of rough. I think I don't have a ton of counter in my hand. I have a decent amount of counter, but the cards to counter is pretty rough, and that's one of the things I'm experiencing with this deck, and I have done some sim practice since these games, so I am getting a little more comfortable with it, and I am trying to find a list that's a little more better. Just the Sanjis feel very clunky right now, and it's really fun to play, but I don't feel like it's definitely not optimized. So he goes ahead and he swings 5, and I give him the Dofi for the 1k. Finally a card in trash, and we're 4 minutes into this game. So he ends up tapping 9 and playing 9 Kaido, KOing Pudding, which that hurt. He ends up trashing a Jack from his hand too, which is pretty rough. And I have to trash something. I think he trashes pudding. If I'm not mistaken, I will put a picture of Kaido up here. I have to trash something from my hand, so I do end up trashing a Sanji. Out of everything I have, I feel like the Sanji is... I'm pretty far away from that. And we get a Gravity Blade, and I feel like the games I've played with this deck in this meta, I don't feel like there's a lot of cards that are issues that can be Gravity Bladed. So I am going to replace those with Red Rocks. And yeah, we put the Gravity Blade at the bottom because I'm like, he's got the 9 cost. Like, I can't use Gravity Blade here. And it's tough. I'm at 7 Dawn. I don't see my Rush Ace, which is a bummer. So I have a couple of options. I think I'm gonna play Izo to try and find probably Ace at this point. Potentially, I would think Ace, but look at this search. This is a search right here. I take Jozu for the 2K, because wow, what a search that was. That was pretty rough. Yeah, okay. I was like, I pick him up, I know I do. So I think I have a blocker Marco. Kinda wish I still had the Doflamingo blocker, but yeah, it definitely still trying to figure out what cards are like good to counter with. So I end up swinging, what is that? 8 with, yeah, that's 8. Quick math. I end up swinging 8, and he ends up taking, and I tap 4 to drop blocker Marco and pass turn, and I'm feeling okay. Depending on what he has, we could be in trouble. And I think so. He ends up swinging 5, and I block out with Marco, or I counter out with Marco in my hand. He swings with Kaido here, and I do end up taking this, and I get another Jozu, and yeah, okay, so he plays Queen down. So, see, this is tough because I remember this turn now. I do say that that there's not a lot for Gravity Blade, but this would have been a great Gravity Blade turn. So definitely struggling with this deck on trying to figure out, putting things to the top versus putting them to the bottom and things of that nature, because now with the hand I have and the board he has, it is not looking good. It was looking okay for a minute there, now it is not. So, and with Sabo, all of his characters are protected from KO. He discards another Jack, which is wild, but I get it. We top deck in a Fire Fist, which is like, oh, cool, neat. And I feel like my best play here, and I could be wrong, I think my best play might be Sanji into Newgate, and we'll see if I do that. I have to sort my Dawn. I'm very particular about my Dawn. If you've been here a while, you know this. Yeah, I think Sanji and the Newgate is my best play at this moment, and I hope that's what I do. So we get the peel off, which could be useful. I put Newgate on top. Thank goodness, I thought I was putting it to the bottom for a second, and I was like, what are you doing? And yeah, so we do end up... I'm saying I minus your Jack, or your Kaido for funsies. I play the Sanji into the Newgate. I put the dice on Marco, making him at 8k for this turn. And since Jack is 7, he's 7k right now if I'm not mistaken. I think I swing into Jack with Marco with lead, and he gives me the 0 cost with a Sabo. Understandable. I'm hoping that the 2k, making myself a 7k leader, is going to be enough to kind of protect me this turn. Because I feel like there's a chance I can retaliate and win next turn. But he does drop the Ice Age, dropping Newgate, and this play, honestly, by my opponent, very well done. So he Ice Age, and then he drops 9 Linlin. Since Newgate, after that Ice Age, is now a 4 cost, he ends up putting Newgate in my life, which, honestly, I don't think I would have thought of something like that. So, you know, hats off to my opponent here. Really, I'm very lucky to be where I am. I'm seeing a lot of really good players and getting to learn how they play. So why he swings Jack, and I'm trying to figure out how I want to go about this. Is there a way? I think I am. Okay, looking at my hand, I think if I'm gonna put a picture up of Fire Fist right here, I think I could have cleared blockers and potentially gone for game with Fire Fist if I understand Fire Fist correctly. With the Otama combination and leader minus, I think there's a chance I could have done that. But I do think I play Rayleigh this turn. I will make a note on the screen if I do the math. But I will put a picture of Fire Fist up. Just because I'm not very familiar with that Fire Fist. So, I think I want to say it's a 5k and a 3k, which if I would have had to use Otama as well, which would have been 4 Dawn. And yeah, there's a chance. I'd have to do the math and see what's in my opponent's hand. But anyways, I do leader ability, and I put a peel off on the bottom of the deck, and I think I am gonna Rayleigh here and pop one of the blockers. I do feel like I probably would have had a better chance of survival if I played Marco. And you can see I'm looking at Marco. I am looking, but I drop Rayleigh instead. I think that optimally, look at my face. Don't look at my face. I think optimally I should have played Marco. I think that would have been better. And I'm so distracted by my big head. Jesus Christ, Connor. So Rayleigh will pop one of the blockers, which isn't a terrible thing, but that only leaves me with 1 Dawn up. If looking back at this, if I got the point of Fire Fist right, if I remember that correctly, I think Fire Fist would have been a better option. But I do swing 7 into life, I believe. And he is able to 2k out of that. Or give me the 0 cost event. I don't know why I said 2k. 9 he ends up taking, and I have a good amount of counter in my hand. So I do go ahead and pass turn. I think he actually pops Marco here, if I'm not mistaken. So another Marco would have. I really do think that playing down another Marco was a better choice than playing the Rayleigh. It is nice to get one of the bodies off board, but yeah, I think this game had a rough start, and I think I really kind of fumbled. My unfamiliarity with the cards and like still learning the deck is definitely apparent here. I feel, and yeah, so he's backing it out. I think he ends up, yeah, because if I remember correctly, I think he drops Who's Who, or mine. Oh yeah, I think he uses leader ability, so he ends up swinging and what was that? 7k. Yeah, he swings 7. I give him 2 cards. He minuses Marco by 1, making him a 2 cost, excuse me, with leader ability, and taps for the 5 for Who's Who, popping Marco. So I also just should have blocked with Marco. I should have blocked with Marco because now he has free reign. So in the 9, and then yeah, I'm thinking that there's a good chance he's going to load the rest of his Dawn up on Kaido and swing with Kaido, so I do end up countering out of this attack. But then he ends up swinging Queen, which I honestly didn't expect. And then, yeah, so he swings the Kaido, and that is game. So this was a really fun game. I always really loved playing Jarrell. The community is so great. I thank them so much. They let me record my games, they let me do the commentary, and they support me, which is wonderful. Love these guys. But that was a really fun game. It was very silly, very fun. Definitely both of us trying to like kind of get the feel of our decks, and I think I learned a lot about the deck from that game. And I think that I'm gonna go read Fire Fist. I think Fire Fist might have been the better play there. And if not Fire Fist, I think Rayleigh was definitely not the play. I think Marco was a better choice than Rayleigh, and Fire Fist might have been the best choice, especially because Sabo Effect was negated. I'll go do the math and see. It kind of depends also what my opponent had in his hand, which he had a 0 cost event and something trash, and Who's Who, so he did have a lot of counter. He did mention that he had a lot of counter. So yeah. But some things to consider, some things to think about. If you are running Marco, I'd love to see what your list. Are you running the same Sanji into Newgate or Sanji into Rayleigh list? Are you running 7-drop aces? What are you running? I'm dying to know. I feel like this meta has so much to explore and just so much to figure out. It's very exciting. I'm really enjoying this meta so far, but I'll shut up now. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys liked this video, hit that like button down below. It helps me out more than you could ever know. Go ahead and subscribe if you are new, and I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day.